Sua Excelência, Sr. Presidente da República, Professor Dr. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, seja muito bem-vindo à 5ª edição das Conferências de Estoril. Permita-me que passe a falar em inglês para me dirigir a todos aqueles que assistem a esta sessão pela internet. Welcome to the largest stage of national debate and a warm and heartfelt welcome to Cascais. Following this humble expression of gratitude for your presence here today, which greatly honors us, please forgive me for daring to interrupt the usual introductory greetings for a few moments and so breaking from protocol completely, to greet the 600 young people who are listening to us right next door, in the secondary auditorium of this same Congress Center, and who, until a few moments ago, filled this very auditorium and debated the whole day during their Youth Summit on such issues as innovation, sustainability, climate change, the concept of borders, and so many other topics of relevance for their own future, actually for our own future. The extraordinary fact is that this Youth Summit is totally organized by them, the young people, and to the young members of the Youth Summit Organizing Committee, our profound gratitude. Please allow me, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to also greet the world which is watching us on live stream at this precise moment, and extend a very special greeting to the students of our academic partners in the 4 corners of the world, from the University of Georgetown in the United States of America, to the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Aarhus University in Denmark, Erasmus University of Rotterdam, Hong Kong Graduate School of China, Cape Town University in South Africa, Getúlio Vargas Foundation in Brazil, Catholic University in Lisbon, and naturally, and of course, our co-organizer of these conferences, Nova School of Business and Economics. Thank you for your support. Thank you for wanting to change the world with us. Following these special greetings, I would like to return to protocol and, of course, naturally greet and welcome the Honourable Mayor of Cascais, my dear friend Carlos Carreiras, the Dean of Nova School of Business and Economics, Daniel Traça, the Interim Dean of Georgetown McDowell School of Business, Owen Williamson, and the Chair of the Estoril Conferences 2017, my dear friend, Teresa Violante. Dear friends, welcome to Estoril, a place to where, in a not very distant past, migrants brought all the glamour which can still be felt and experienced today in our small territory. Welcome to Portugal, welcome to Europe, to this land where we fight on a daily basis to preserve fundamental values such as freedom, democracy, solidarity, that men and women are equal, that all men and women are equal, security, social mobility, education, tolerance. For those who are here and those yet to come, this context is not negotiable, nor revocable. This is the minimum, unquestionable and indispensable to live in Europe, in this Europe, in our Europe. A week ago, the United Kingdom suffered a brutal attack and raised its alert level to critical, and the army took to the streets. We need not remind you of all the other attacks which preceded this one, to be wholly aware that the world which all of us here today consider free is currently under attack. There is a war raging against stability, against the world as we know it, a long, far too long and recurring battle against our way of life. Europe is recovering from a devastating economic crisis. It is growing at a slow pace, far too slow, I would say. A Europe drowning in debt, drowning after a long demographic winter, and which has its greatest invention, the welfare state, in a state of absolute collapse, and watches as daily millions of migrants entering through its doors. This Europe trembled with Syria. It partially fell with the Brexit. It witnessed Renzi fall in the referendum. It tested itself with the rise of the extreme right in Holland. And once again tested itself to the very limit this time with the National Front in France. To the political leaders who have held it together all these years, I expressed here my deep gratitude for their strength, tenacity, and resilience they have shown until now. But that time has passed. It has definitely passed. Now the time has come to release Europe from this chokehold. Time to release Europe from old dogmas. Time to look to a new reality. Time to guarantee the conservation of a free world. The time has come to accept a new time. And for that reason, there is a step that must be taken immediately, right now, to accept a strong commitment with the security of European citizens, security which must naturally be translated into actions. An attack on one European country must naturally be interpreted by all as an attack on Europe and on its development model and, of course, on its founding values. With the power that this stage offers me, it is important to say that I do not know of any other civilizational project as coherent, as social cohesive, as complete, as regards equality and freedom, as tolerant, as ready to offer each and every one of us a true opportunity for social mobility. That project is, of course, European Union. For those reasons, and in absolute defense of the values of the European mission, the most recent European Council has already decided to establish a task force against ISIS, against those who want to end this project. In the midterm, we must update the so-called European architecture so that Europe can be unblocked and updated, adapting it so it can face the challenges of today's world, constantly anticipating and adapting for what tomorrow may bring. That would mean a stronger Europe, capable of defending its founding principles and values. We have to rethink the state in a more efficient way, to restructure it and releasing it from burdensome structures created for societies which are not the European societies of today. The state has to fulfill the role for which it was established. First, to support the most needy. Second, to regulate the markets and economy. Third, to establish conditions for economic development and less laws, but better and more realistic ones. And last, a state which partners with the private sector so as to guarantee superlative quality health and education for all its citizens. Once focused on the essential, the state saves taxes and time spent on bureaucracies for companies and citizens, and so increasing levels of trust, which, my dear friends, we all know are fundamental for economic growth. Doing so, on one hand, companies are free to invest and create jobs. On the other hand, citizens see resources liberated, which will increase their quality of life and stimulate the birth rate. But, ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, we also have short-term problems to solve, of course. Migration problems at three levels, which contemporary European political leaders most refer to: refugees, economic migrants, and European citizens and voters. It is interesting to reflect on this fact. While in Europe there are those who doubt the future to such an extent that they revive old responses, there are those, on the other hand, and coming from outside our borders, who deposit in Europe, in us, all their hopes for a new life, a new future. Have no doubts, my dear friends, all those of us in this room are privileged, privileged enough to not admit a retreat. We will never retreat. Our challenge is to convince the Europeans, especially those who have doubts, that there is a road, and we know the way. That way involves immigration, it involves globalization, civilized globalization, as Commissioner Carlos Moedas just said us yesterday. It involves opening up, it involves tolerance, it involves freedom. And these are the engines and the drivers of prosperity and progress. Since January, almost 50,000 migrants have reached Europe by sea. It is unacceptable for any woman or man to live such a despair that he would prefer to place himself and his children in the hands of traffickers and run the risk of drowning. Since January, almost 1,400 people have died at sea. In August 2015, 71 people were found inside an abandoned truck in Austria. It is unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. And forgive me again, my friends, but I cannot accept this. We cannot accept this. In 1951, a group of diplomats in Geneva committed their countries to receiving a large number of refugees from a region devastated by ethnic and raised by ideological fanatisms and ending wars. That region was Europe. Today, we Europeans are called upon to receive victims, to the same problems from other parts of the world, especially Syria, where people are imprisoned between Bashar al-Assad regime and the terrorists of Islamic State. Today, we the Europeans, and because history has the habit, or the good or the bad habit of repeating itself in many varied ways, have to find answers. The answer to those who are searching for a safer life cannot be just European. But once they arrive here, it falls on us, Europeans, to find those answers. We are a prosperous continent compared to the neighboring continents, especially Africa. We have welfare states which allow for a more comfortable life. We know how to build desirable societies, in fact. So let us assume our responsibilities. There is a Portuguese saying that says, no door closes without a window opening. That is what is happening right here. And the solution for the problems of some can also be the solution for the problems of others in the next 15 years. Immigration serves European societies and the migrants who want to come and work here. If Portugal counts on only its rates of birth and mortality, it will shrink by 2.5 million inhabitants until 2060. Will be more or less the size of Honduras. The aging process is practically irreversible, and it is no different in any of the other 26 European countries. Less birth and longer lives are problems of rich countries, developed countries. Europe needs economic migrants, and we need them today. They turn us into more diverse societies. But various problems already are evident. We all have fears and anxieties. We are afraid that infiltrated among the migrants come the terrorists who have fed the various attacks throughout Europe. We are afraid that the Islam influence on society is a threat which will provoke radical changes in the values of our cultures, which are the base stones of our civilization. We are afraid that the pressure that they place on housing, public health services, schools, transports, and then social support, which increases the satisfaction of national citizens, cannot provide answers for all our needs. We are afraid that education will be downgraded. We are afraid of the need of integration of the crowds that are arriving constantly. We are afraid, we are always afraid. It is not worth thinking that everything can be solved with pity, or only with the heart, or even with the reason. The spent dichotomy between left and right is no longer enough. We live in a more open, less dogmatic, less ideological, and fractured society. Disruption today is between those who only diagnose and those who, on the contrary, present realistic and doable solutions, be they right or left-wing. Europeans know that human dignity stands above all things, above right or left policies. We must be able to provide answers to those who arrive in Europe with the fear of the past. But we have to be able to respond to those who are here and are afraid of the future. The truth is that this is the world we are going to live, and we do not want to live in a world where we give up on them. The truth is that, as El Baradei said in this forum, we either succeed together or fail separately. The truth is that education is the foundation of freedom and the only driver I know for social mobility and cohesion. The truth is that tomorrow is today. The truth is that in 2019, we'll stand here at the Estoril conferences again to answer these and other challenges. But above all, let us live here and face the challenges of tomorrow united. Thank you to all the organizers of the Estoril conferences. Thank you to the speakers, to the moderators, to the sponsors, to the academic partners, and of course, to all our youth ambassadors for making this huge and fantastic event. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let the debate begin.